Hi, I'm Taylor, and this is my Action Research virtual poster presentation. I present to you my problem statement. A critical part of learning and developing as a student and as an individual is being able to understand and improve our mental health. Students should be able to recognize and comprehend that failure is not something they should fear, but rather something they should embrace. Children must be able to recognize that they cannot succeed without experiencing some form of failure. It is how we learn from these experiences that are fundamental for future success. My goal is to improve and support students' mental well-being while simultaneously incorporating a growth mindset by learning from these failures. It is essential to know that incorporating a growth mindset into our daily activities will be key in ensuring our students see their failures as a growing opportunity. Statement of the research problem. My research will be based around the idea of promoting positive thinking. Positive thinking and having a growth mindset are both essential for student success. Throughout my 2 placements, I've witnessed the incredible amount of frustrations that students can have when dealing with their so-called failures. This shouldn't be the case. Instead, students should be able to understand their failures. They should be able to examine and explore what went wrong, and in turn use this as evidence as a tool to improve and grow, and it will better equip these students to handle their inevitable setbacks. Having access to a list of goals and tools for dealing with failure will be valuable for students throughout their academics as well as their everyday lives. I found that it was very different to witness these students in the classroom and witness them talk so negatively about their abilities, and that greatly impacted their well-being and their academic success and abilities. We need to teach these students that these are a way to grow. We don't look at them as failures, we look at them as learning opportunities. Therefore, my research question is, how do I improve and support students' mental health and mental well-being while simultaneously incorporating a growth mindset by learning from their failures? I've included some definitions and some relevant terms to help students understand my research and my research question. My first definition is growth mindset. Growth mindset means believing that students can learn, change, and develop their skills. Positive self-talk. Sometimes your inner voice will be negative, but we must challenge these statements and replace them with positive words and thoughts. Goal setting. This is the process of setting goals, allowing students to choose where they want to go in school and what they want to achieve. By knowing what they want to achieve, they know what they have to concentrate on and improve. Good mental health and well-being. This is the state of being comfortable, healthy, or happy. One of the articles I found to back up my research was called The Achievement Goals in the Classroom, Students' Learning Strategies and Motivation Processes. So this article covers situations pertaining to student achievement and success. There are multiple statistics that support the idea that classroom experiences and the willingness to take risks have ultimate influence on student achievement. The article states, for example, a favorable attitude, a willingness to take risk, and the use of effective learning strategies may be more evident among those students who have normally high assessment of their ability. This article supports that the idea that positive classroom goals, as well as positive reinforcement, leads to a greater success rate academically. It is evident to see that when the pressure is removed, the students are able to demonstrate enhanced performance. Article number 2 is social influences on student perceptions of failure in the learning process. This article examines the role of failures as seen by those in Silicon Valley, where people believe in the importance of failing early so that one can succeed earlier. Contrasting against the school system that focuses heavily on students' rote knowledge of correct answers. Negative stigma holds back students for fear they will get a wrong answer. This can increase stress and limit student ability unless the school climate can be altered. Students must be encouraged to experiment, fail, and try again, so that they may go with confidence in the world that they will be able to succeed. A major part of this article focuses on reducing students' risk aversion so that they begin to push themselves to the limits of their knowledge. My third article is Framing Failure in the Legal Classroom, Techniques for Encouraging Growth and Resilience. This article provides an interesting context on the impact of failure on students in law school, one of the most difficult programs to achieve. The fear of failure is seen as holding back these students and keeping them from experimenting and moving forward with their use of law. The article then looks at the challenges schools face at all levels and the necessity of a growth mindset. Students must face failure with a resiliency, or they do not have the opportunity to develop a growth mindset that can overcome future problems. Set from the view of a law school, this proves to be a major issue affecting all students. Article number 4, The Neuroscience of Growth Mindset and Intrinsic Motivation. This article looks at the importance of a growth mindset and, more importantly, its hypothesized relation to intrinsic motivation. Through a neuroscientific analysis, the author claims there is a clear link between intrinsic motivation and a growth mindset through their processes of observation of the students. When students gain a growth mindset, they become more driven in their learning and find it easier to act and push themselves to work when they are not afraid of failure. This scientific analysis sheds a critical light on why developing a growth mindset will benefit students immeasurably and push them to succeed in their education. Embracing this 21st century competency in education allows students a freedom to explore and move forward through their own motivation. I've used this literature that I've found and these articles, and I've taken 3 big points from this. The first would be stigma of failure. Negative stigma has become a major issue in schools that rely on right answers. This stigma holds back students for fear they will get the wrong answer. This can increase stress and limit student ability unless the school climate can be altered. Students must be encouraged to experiment, fail, try again, so that they can go on with confidence in the world that they will be able to succeed. The articles all make a point of discussing the negative effects of this and how it is stopping students from pushing themselves. The second most important thing is growth mindset. The concept of a growth mindset is something that is highly stressed by the Ministry of Education, and for a good reason. Through the articles, it has been addressed again and again that developing a growth mindset increases motivation and risk-taking in students. These are traits teachers strive to develop, and increasing them will empower students to take control of their own learning. Giving students more control through allowing failure and reflection will prepare them for the real world, whether they want to go to law school, like in the article, or if they want to follow a different path. And the benefit to mental health. The concept of presenting failure as a positive instead of an obstruction can benefit students' mental health significantly. When students have the pressure removed from their daily lives and their daily studies, they are able to feel more comfortable and more confident, and in turn they are able to demonstrate a growth mindset and growth development in their studies. My research action plan. Data sources. What are your data sources and why did you select these? I will outline why I selected the data sources that I did. So the interviews with the students will be conducted before, during, and after the study to measure where they are in relation to a growth mindset. Goals will be set and students will be interviewed whilst anecdotal notes are being taken. Parents as well as teachers will be spoken to and data will be recorded throughout this research project. Classwork samples will be recorded. Daily journals will also be done by students. They will record the goals as well as have ways they can improve their growth mindset when dealing with these challenges. Having preliminary interviews as well as having daily journals will ensure that achievement is being tracked. The interviews conducted will help to gauge students' growth mindsets. The collection of evidence as well as surveys will help to calculate students' advances. Participants and setting. Who's involved? Colleagues, students, principals. Where will this data be collected? Well, colleagues will be involved. Prior to the study, colleagues will be asked for their opinion on student goals and growth mindset. Students will also be involved before the study, during, as well as in the closing of the study. This study will take place in an elementary school. Throughout my research, I will avoid using names, as well as the name of the school during my research process. Anything that could indicate or reveal the participants will be removed from the study to ensure anonymity. My data collection process will be collected through student interviews, student journals, and surveys. The interviews will begin and end will occur during the beginning and the end of the study. Student journals will be weekly, and students must track their process through journaling. They must address their goals in these journals. The surveys will be done September to June monthly. My data analysis. What will I do with the data collected and how will I analyze it? Well, I will use the student interviews, journals, and surveys, both online and in person, to collect the data and to analyze it. Having in-person interviews will allow me to structure the conversation based on each individual student. Although these students will all have the same questions they will be asked, they will be formulated differently. This will allow me to gauge where the student is at in terms of their growth mindset and positivity. Taking anecdotal notes will be essential throughout these interviews and will allow me to collect other data and recall it at a later time. Having students journal weekly will allow me to collect the data from the student's point of view. In each journal, students will address something that they may have failed at, or at a time when their performance or task was not up to their personal expectations. Each journal entry will be structured with questions they have to answer. They'll have to address the problem or the failure. How did they address or fix this failure? What would they do differently? How did this make you feel? How can you use this as a positive growth mindset to change your outcome, etc.? These questions will be guiding their writing, which means all of the information will be surrounding the same topics and therefore easier to analyze and interpret. Online surveys and paper surveys will be used to interpret and analyze trends. All of this information will be collected and analyzed to fit certain criteria. I will use this data to see how information supports my original question. My goal is to improve and support students' mental well-being while simultaneously incorporating a growth mindset by learning from failure. Designing this action research study will help me to understand the correlation between good mental health and higher student success rates. This will definitely influence and help my future teaching. I'll be able to understand the importance of mental health and how having a positive mindset can help students. Having students focus on their success rather than their failures will in turn result in higher test scores. Having helpful goals and resources available for students will ensure that they focus on turning their failures into success stories. Thank you for listening.